Hey, Soraya.
Hey Jeff, how you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Nice.
I cannot believe that we're in December already, 2020.
Yeah,
But,
let's not talk about that.
well, it's the last month. And the good thing is, come January 1st, COVID's going to be gone, right? Is
Well,
that how it works?
I thought,
Or do we
I
have to
was
wait till
told,
inauguration?
I was promised by Ted Cruz that week after the election be all be over, and
Yeah.
you know,
So I wasn't sure
stuff.
if it was the election or the inauguration. So,
Who knows? We're still in the thick of it, and I
yes.
mean, I know Jeff. I'm not speaking out of turn her here. I hope everyone is safe and
Yes.
healthy, and just sticking with it.
Yes.
And to that end,
Yes.
okay, so Jeff, I want you to let our listeners know what today's topic is.
Well, you mentioned we're in the thick of it. I have a thick stack of vinyl records right here, which you can't see if you're listening to us, but you can see if you're watching it.
Right?
I have some, and I'm wearing a Dream Syndicate shirt at the
Yes.
moment. I've got records by Suspects, Dream Syndicate, Clay Allison, Rainy Day. I've got some Opal records here. And there's a common theme throughout this stack of records.
Yes. And that is?
Kendra Smith.
Yes. Okay, so Jeff, I think our listeners would like to know, what is Kendra Smith's value or symbolism to you? Because this has been something that you and I have talked about quite a bit,
Yeah.
about why Kendra is important to you.
Yeah.
So explain.
Good question. So every one of these records that I have in this stack, the common theme is Kendra, and they're all amazing. So I had an opportunity to see Kendra perform early with Opal, not in the Dream Syndicate days, but with Opal. And then recently in 2018 with Dream Syndicate, she was a surprise guest. And just her voice is amazing. We've discussed Rainy Day and what she did with that. But just an incredible artist, very mysterious to me. One of our unicorns, which probably is, let's be
Don't
realistic.
don't 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 say it.
Okay,
She
okay.
is a unicorn.
All
All
right.
things are possible.
All things are possible. And I'm
If
always hoping.
we had the fabulous and amazing Annette Zelinkas
Yep.
and Debbie Peterson,
Mm-hmm.
things are possible.
Yep.
So
Yep. All right.
don't say where I know you were gonna go.
Thank you for stopping me because I'm hopeful. But for now, we do want to talk about Kendra because she's had such an impact on music that we like, and specifically on the Paisley Underground. She was there from the very beginning, which we'll discuss. But um, we're talking about Kendra Smith and projects that she's been a part of today.
Well, let's get started.
Hi, this is Soraya.
And this is Jeff.
Our podcast is called Paisley Stage Raspberry and Rhyme,
A podcast where the two of us play music that we like and share anecdotes and background about the tunes.
We hope you'll join our conversation. And without further ado, a gruviar.
Let's get groovy. So I don't know a whole lot about Kendra, to be honest. I do know, looking online, that she was born March 14th, 1960 in Champlin, Minnesota. And somehow she ended up UC Davis or around there, and started her musical career, I believe, with Steve Wynn, and then eventually became part of Dream Syndicate. And then there's some stuff that happens later, but I put my vinyl in order
Okay.
chronologically.
So let's go.
So,
Let's hear it.
and along the way, we'll play some music as we go through this stack, I was thinking. So my first record that I'm holding up is Suspects.
Woo!
So Suspects, I think they put this out on their own, so on their own private label. And as I pull out the record, the band was Steve Wynn, a very, very young, skinny Steve Wynn, guitar vocals, and Steve Suchel, I don't know who that is, playing bass, And then their lead vocalist was Kendra Smith. Also rounding out the band was Russ and Gavin, who became True West. So Russ Tolman and Gavin Blair. And this single, Suspects, by Suspects, 2 songs, It's Up to You and Talking Loud. There's a pretty cool video of the band Suspects in like some studio putting together some kind of promo video for Suspects. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, this was Steve's and Kendra's first musical output right here. This wasn't easy to get, by the way, but I think that's the first time Kendra was on vinyl or on recorded music. And then those two, Steve and Kendra, went on to form Dream Syndicate. So I have some records here. The Down There EP was the first EP that they put out. By this time, it was Kendra Smith, Steve Wynn, Dennis Duck, who we've spoken to and met a couple times, and Carl Percoda, another one of our unicorns. Right. So great EP for those who don't know. And we covered EPs by the 4 seminal bands, and we did cover that record. So then, and we could probably say this is one of the prominent records from the Paisley Underground, the Dream Syndicate, Days of Wine and Roses. The band was the same lineup as the EP, and Kendra sings on one of these songs, Too Little Too Late. I have the early version here, and then the newly redone version. And I will say that this cover on the reissue, I got to take a little bit of credit for, because when they were putting this together, they were looking for a clean copy, and it was my copy that they copied to make the repress. So my name's in the credits. And that's why, because I had a clean copy when they were putting that together. And then another record that Kendra was involved with, the Tell Me When It's Over 12-inch. And this was from that album, The Days of Wine and Roses. And this was had Tell Me When It's Over, and then they stuck out some live tracks on side B of this 12-inch. Some Kind of Itch, Mr. Soul, and Sure Thing. So that was it for Kendra for Dream Syndicate, because after the Dream Syndicate, she moved on, right? And what did she move on to? Rainy Day, which we've talked about, right? So
now your copy of Rainy Day is special.
I feel like it is.
Explain why.
It's got some signatures on it from several members of the band.
Including?
So I've got Dennis Duck, Michael Quercio, Vicky Peterson, Sue Hoffs, Stephen Roback, Matt Pucci. Oh, and then this signature on the top, and I got a story about it, Kendra Smith.
Thank you.
So I took this record with me when I went to see the Dream Syndicate in 2018. They were playing in San Diego, and I had not had Dennis's signature on it. So I brought this record with me because Dennis, being the drummer from Dream Syndicate, was going to be there. So I brought my copy of Rainy Day for him to sign. So I had no idea, very, very surprised. They call up Kendra Smith to sing on their encore, and I flipped because she had performed with the band Dream Syndicate at a show or two in Los Angeles that year, but we were out of town and I missed it, and I was like so upset that I did not get to see Kendra Smith. And then here she is in San Diego, and they brought her back, and so I was leery about approaching her because I didn't know how public or comfortable she is with nerdy people coming up with a thick stack of records to be signed. So I was very cautious, and she couldn't have been more pleasant, Soraya, when I approached her. And I think I've shared this story before, but I had this Rainy Day record, of course, and there was it was late. The show had been over almost an hour by then, and I was still hanging out at the venue. And I approached her and asked her to sign it, and she just started to glow. And she took my album, held it up, and she said, "Everybody, this is my artwork." And then she looked so proud, and so she signed my copy of the record. And I don't know, I felt it was very special. And then
Of course.
yeah, and I asked her to take a couple of pictures with me, and she was very, very pleasant and seemed very happy to do so. So, or at least accommodating, I will say.
Yeah.
But very, very, very kind. So I have this Rainy Day record, of course, my Japanese pressing,
Of course.
my little single from Rainy Day, which has apparently used to belong to a radio station because it's got scribbled across it. I wish it was signatures, but it says WHUS, and then a date of 7/1/84 on it. But I do have a one lone signature on the back, my buddy Stephen Roback.
Oh,
Yes. So another Kendra project. So she left Dream Syndicate to work with David Roback, and I will add a CD version of Rainy Day also.
that one's tough to come by. I mean, you and I have a CD copy, but I mean, they're tough to come by, but they're around.
Yours came from overseas, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. When I ordered it, I think if I'm right, it came from Italy, but
wow.
Yeah, but it's in my casa. But I also have the LP too, the original. So.
Oh, nice.
Bought at Aaron's Records.
Oh, Aaron's. I miss and loved Aaron's Records.
Yeah. Oh, so what else is in the stack? Come on.
So this one I might surprise some people. This is Jane Bond and the Undercover Men. So Kendra was not in the band. This album's called Politically Correct, and the members of the band are Ethan James, who was the owner of Radio Tokyo. And
right.
We talked about Radio Tokyo tapes. So he was the one that recorded my band's first album. And then also in the band is Lisa Mitchell. They were married, and Lisa Mitchell was married to the front man of my band, 17 Pygmies. So they were married for a week and a half, I believe. But she went on to marry Ethan James. But the reason why I brought up this record is because Kendra sings backing vocals on the title track, Politically Correct. So she wasn't exactly a member of the band, but she did participate in this record. So that's pretty cool. And next up in the stack, so we're still talking about Kendra Smith. I have this little single here. The band at this point were called Clay Allison, which featured David Roback and Kendra. Engineered by Ethan James. So we just talked about Ethan James from Jane Bond and the Undercover Men. It also included Keith Mitchell, who went on to be the drummer for Mazzy Star. We'll talk about Mazzy Star. And it also includes Juan Gomez, who was in the band Human Hands with Dennis Duck. So there's all these ties.
Oh, yeah.
With this scene. So this single has two songs, Fell from the Sun and All Souls, which have gorgeous vocals from Kendra on. And it's almost time for some music, Soraya, because we're
getting there.
This next record, pretty much the same band. It was Kendra Smith on bass and vocals, David Roback guitars, organ and vocal, and then the drummer Keith Mitchell. So same band as the single, but Juan Gomez is out by this time. The artist's name is Kendra Smith, David Roback, and Keith Mitchell. They weren't known as Clay Allison by this time, nor had they took on the name Opal.
Right.
Anyways, 4 songs on here, 2 from the single, Fell from the Sun and All Souls, but they also add Lullaby, which we've played on our show before, and my first track that I'm choosing, which is Grains of Sand. So Grains of Sand is the leadoff track from this record, and it's my first choice because Kendra Smith is awesome.
hear me say, I'm waiting. All the places you have seen, all you've been inside you. Things with grains of sand fall like water through our hands. There's a sea raining down inside you.
What do you think of that song?
Too good.
It's got such a great vibe. It's just so mellow and just chill. And her voice.
You know, when I was prepping for this episode, I came across this blog post. There's a longer quote I want to read to you a little later, but this person, in describing Kendra, said she's really more of a soul folk singer, and then she coined the term soak. Soul folk singer than pop goddess.
Ooh.
And soul folk, for some reason, that hit a chord. Like I said, maybe that's it, because you know, I've described her voice before, and it's ethereal and it's earthy, but like there's a lot of guts behind it too, but it's mellow, but I like that soul folk.
I like that too. Yeah, that's a good
I,
way to
I think
describe
I
it.
think it, I don't know. I'm gonna let it simmer, but yeah, her voice is just something. It grabs you and it doesn't let you go.
Yeah, yeah. There's I this song to me is like a good transition from like Rainy Day, um, from some of the work that she did on there, like her vocals on Holocaust, the Big Star song, amazing. Her voice is
Mhm.
just rips your heart out. At least for
Absolutely.
me. And then also, I think this is reminiscent of what will become with Mazzy Star,
Yeah.
with the slide guitar work, which we heard mentioned. If anybody hasn't heard it, there's a podcast that Matt Pucci hipped us to, talking about emergency third world power trip. So third rail power trip. Always get hung up on that. Which is a very cool podcast, just focusing on that one album.
Yeah.
And Matt had participated in some interview things, some of which we've heard on here, some new things. So I definitely
Yeah.
recommend that.
There was new information there. Absolutely.
Yeah. So he did mention in that there was some of that slide work on Rain Parade that David Roback took and then ended up making
Yeah.
into a whole thing with Mazzy Star. So
Yeah.
prior to Mazzy Star is Opal. So the next record that I have is the first one where they titled themselves Opal, but it was the band was Kendra, David Roback, and Keith Mitchell still.
Mhm.
They've also listed Ethan James as a member of the band. So
Wow.
again, back to that Jane Bond and the Undercover Man. And then also David Petrie and David McKenzie. And then he thanks Adam Nimoy and Sue Ewers, who ends up being part of Mazzy Star, known as Suki by then.
Mm.
But anyways, this record, Northern Line, Empty Bottles, and Soul Giver, is an amazing record. I was going to pick Soul Giver for my track, but I think we've already played a live version of it. So another fantastic album or work that
Yes.
Kendrick participated in. And then I guess this is known as their opus Happy Nightmare Baby, where they went a little bit more psychedelic, a little bit more heavier, and less folky and more a little bit more rock.
Right.
I guess rock. Most of it has slower tempos, but heavier wah pedals, distortion. But this is the first time that I saw Kendra perform, is when they were promoting this album and they played at UCSD in San Diego. And there's a portion of that show on YouTube. If you look up
Yeah.
Opal SST, which is the label that put this out, which was surprising to me because most of the SST bands were more punk.
Very different.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways, so another fantastic work. You can probably see some I guess connections with me, that everything that she's touched is like gold. So she's got that Midas touch.
Absolutely.
And then I understand that this record, early recordings, is something that they put out kind of as the band was changing. And I think Kendra was starting to leave the band at this point. I think she actually left the band during a tour, like
Mhm.
right after a show or right before a show. But this is a great recording of some of their early stuff, including some of the singles and 12 inches that we have. So Opal early recordings. And then this one is something that Jane Doe and Jeff or Beth
Jeffington.
yeah, whatever those losers.
Whatever those people did.
Yeah. So this is not a legitimate recording, but Opal early recordings 2 is something that I found. And it's got some great tracks on there. One of which Matt Pucci told us is actually a Rain Parade song, but it's listed as Opal.
Right.
More great Kendra stuff. And then this is kind of cool. So like the Jane Bond and the Undercover Men, this is not a a band that she was in per se, but Savage Republic was a band that that I was very fond of, more industrial sounding. And my front man, who was married to Lisa Mitchell, Phil Drucker, or Jackson Del Rey, he goes by both names, was telling me a story that they needed somebody, if they were going on tour, that somebody in the band couldn't perform. I don't know if they were sick or unavailable, but with no rehearsals, they asked Kendra if they could go with her, I think, to Arizona. Yes, it says Phoenix on here. So this was a live double 10-inch record, which is really gorgeous, by the way. Just got to show this. So it's like an amber
Oh, wow. That's
record,
pretty.
which the podcast listeners won't be able to see, but she performed on a couple songs here in percussion. So she was a guest artist. So another record that she was a part of that I absolutely love. Yeah, and no rehearsals. So she just went and performed with the band live and did a couple songs, percussion and bass, I believe. And then that brings us to a project. So she leaves Opal, Mazzy Star starts, David Robeck continues with Hope Sandoval, and they become Mazzy Star. And what does Kendra do? She puts out a record called Presents the Guild of Temporal Adventures.
Yeah.
So it's not a solo album. That's what the band was called. And they put out a record in 1992. And I think we have a couple picks from this.
Yeah.
So I think you're up first.
Yeah, my pick is Stars Are in Your Eyes. And we'll talk about it after you hear it.
Come to me, you are my own, and I've been waiting for so long. I've been waiting for the dawn.
gorgeous.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And I mean, the arrangement is what's beautiful. And then you add on to it her voice. And as you know, as I was just listening to it, the word meditation came up, and it's like, this song is like a meditation because it's this driving harmony, right? And then you just get caught up in her words. And like you said, there's something very mellow, but grounded, right? It's very melodic. And I think that's what's so intriguing about Kendra Smith is not a belter, like not a woo, yeah, woo, but sticks with you. It's like ingrained in your, your brain. And this is just a beautiful song.
Yeah, it is a gorgeous song. This is available on vinyl, but it's tough to get. I don't actually have that Presents the Guild of Temporal Adventures on vinyl, but I've been looking and haven't pulled the trigger yet on some of those $75 plus options that come up.
And this is also, I think it also speaks to the appeal of Kendra Smith, right? Because whoever has one of her albums won't let it go. Like they hold on to it. And so, keep looking.
Yeah, I will. But this is a great record. And I also picked a song from this. I'm glad that we did focus on some of her later period too. The post Dream Syndicate, post Opal,
right?
Stuff. But from the same album, the closing track I think is absolutely fabulous. So I wanted to play that, and that's Wheel of the Law.
And this floating world's a dream. So burn in mad abandon, and there's nothing to it at all. Keep on turning the wheel of the law, and I'll turn back the tides of time so you don't feel the pain. Here in this citadel, timescape changing day by day. Dive into the deep blue dream. They don't feel me anymore, though I'm just outside their door. I'll keep turning the wheel of the law, so we can open the gates of the sun.
Call on the ships in the night to force a path for the light. Open their hearts and their minds to this song.
They don't feel me anymore, though I'm just outside their door. gates of the sun, and there's nothing to it at all. Keep on turning the wheel of the law, and I'll turn back the tides of time so you don't feel the pain.
I wanted to play that song because I feel like her voice had a different quality than you hear on some of the other songs that we played. So that she did a duet with Jonah Corey, who she co-wrote that song with, who is also a member of Guild of the Temporal Adventures, and it was just neat to hear her sing in a different way, and I think it's a great song, so I had to include that one. Next up, Kendra put out solo album, which wasn't listed as a band, and it's this one here, 5 Ways of Disappearing. And this one came out in 1995, and it was released by 4AD. So 4AD was a label out of England that put out a lot of very ethereal music. Some great stuff that I like, Cocteau Twins, and some great stuff. But this record, Kendra Smith, 5 Ways of Disappearing. Another one that I'm looking for on vinyl, but right now this digital
CD will have to
version.
do.
Yes. But there's some great tracks on here, and I think your last pick
Yes.
is from this record.
So the last pick I have is Valley of the Morning Sun. And I mean, Kendra's voice is beautiful no matter what. But I love the lyrics on this song, and in particular, this. We are flying in the valley of the morning sun. All is lost, all is won. Valley of the Morning Sun.
lighter than air machine, Aryan, queen of the skies. We are flying, lighter than air. We are flying without a worry or a care. Riding high under silver moon, over polar snow, under midnight sun. Victoria, Louise, Saxon, Santos Dumont. City of Milan, Captain, get your jacket Zeppelin. We are flying lighter than air. We are flying without a worry or a care. In the valley of the morning sun, all is lost, all is one. Consider Sir Richard Francis Burton. Captain, get your jacket on.
Whew. Isn't
I
that
love
good?
that's good. I love how that was recorded. Like some of the effects. I don't know if it's reverb or what, but the sound of the drums, the sound of the guitar, whatever is on her voice, and then of course her actual voice is it's a good one.
Everything about that arrangement is good.
So that was recorded at Dreamland Studios in Lolita, California. So up near UCSB, right? I think that's where.
Goleta?
Yes. Oh no.
Yeah, Goleta's near.
Oh,
Santa Barbara.
Lolita. Lolita. So is that?
Lolita?
I
Don't
don't
know.
know
I'd
where
have
that.
to look it up.
I don't know where
You can
that's
look
at.
it up.
Oh yeah, I was thinking of Goleta. Yeah, Goleta is UCSB. So I'm guessing Lolita could be like in Northern California.
Probably.
So the interesting thing about that is after 5 Ways of Disappearing, this album that came out on 4 AD. we don't-
Lolita
yes.
is very much north.
Yeah. Okay. So
it's near
is it near Oregon?
it's near Eureka.
Okay. So very Northern California.
North.
Yeah, so my understanding is after this record, she bought a place in Northern California, kind of off the grid place, right?
Yeah.
I've heard that, and Wikipedia says that I think maybe limited electricity, limited resources, and for years, for a decade or more, I think that she was very incognito. She did put out in 1995 some tracks on compilations. I know she did a Joy Division cover, A Means to an End, that was on the music of Joy Division, A Means to an End, the song Heart and Soul. She covered that. And then, surprisingly, in 2017, on the Dream Syndicate album, How Did I Find Myself Here? And we've talked about that before. She did the track Kendra's Dream. She sang on it. And I've got a little set list from that show that I saw her at. I have it marked on the back. Dream Syndicate, Saturday, April 21st, 2018, the Casbah in San Diego. So that must have been where I saw and took a picture of and had her sign. But her voice changed a bit from the early stuff and this record, and a very haunting quality to her voice that is beautiful and yet haunting. So I'm sure our listeners are familiar with How Did I Find Myself Here. But yes, Kendra Smith, after a decade of silence, comes out and participates with Dream Syndicate, the band that she started with many, many years ago. which was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then I do also know there's a couple other things that she was a part of. I haven't been able to find a copy of it yet, but she did a Live at McCabe's Guitar Workshop album that I don't know when that show took place, but it was sometime in the 80s. But on this record, it includes some Steve Wynn tracks, some people from REM, 10,000 Maniacs, and she does a couple covers, duets with Natalie Merchant. Kendra Smith does. It's difficult to find, but Live at McCabe's Guitar Workshop, the artist is REM/Opal/Steve Wynn/10,000 Maniacs. So that's pretty cool. And then another thing, I think the last thing that I'm aware of that she did is she did a soundtrack song, and our friend Pat Thomas told me about it. And you can find it on YouTube. The album was called, or I'm sorry, the movie was called Leave No Trace. That movie came out in 2018, and she wrote a song for that called Moonboat. And again, it's very haunting and very mysterious. And her voice is definitely different than from the early days, but it's very intriguing to hear. And I think that's the last thing that she did that's available. But my understanding was that she was working on something. So that's all I know. So fingers crossed that something comes out.
So can I read you the last part of this blog that I found?
Please, yeah.
Okay. So the person who posted this, they go by the name Miss Lisa. But this is what she says at the end of a post about Kendra. Come back, Kendra. I miss your lovely voice and deceptively simple melodies that are actually quite thoughtful and unique. Alternative music is even more boyish than ever. I need some dreamy yet grounded women singers in my life. You might too. You might not even know you need that, but I bet you do. The rumor is that Smith's house doesn't have electricity, so the odds of her showing up in cyberspace are slim, and yet here is the perfect place for a solo artist to reconnect with her fan base and find new fans along the way. Somebody track her down in the forest and tell her I said so. Thank you. Now, this post was from 2010. But I think the sentiment is shared.
Yes.
Come back. And I really hope that she is working on something new.
Yes, I hope so too.
So we can all share and enjoy it.
Yes, and I love that quote as a way to close this out. That is perfect. That is perfect. So,
well, Jeff, then let's let it sit on its own. Gente a grubiar.
Groove on, Paisley people. That quote is fantastic.
Isn't that perfect?
I love that.
When I saw it, I said, oh no, I got to use it. But I love it. Come back.
I love it. What perfect. And you timed it perfectly.
Well, I was waiting for the right spot to use it. So I figured when you said 2018 soundtrack, I said, okay, here's where we can. And that she was rumored to be doing something.
He